Good morning and welcome to another edition of United Way for Southeastern Michigan's What's the Word Wednesday. My name is Audrey Walker and today we are going to talk about summer food programs. The last 10 minutes of today's conversation are reserved for questions, so please leave your question in the Q&A box if you're watching on Zoom or in the comment box on Facebook. And now I'd like to give a warm welcome to Brian Van Dorn, Director of Basic Needs at United Way, to say a few words.
Thank you, Audrey. Good morning, everyone. One thing that we know is that during the school year, many families rely on school meals to ensure that children have access to the nutrition that they need to thrive. With school wrapping up for the summer, it might be difficult for families to provide enough food for their children. The Meet Up and Eat Up summer food program has long helped to ensure that all children have access to food year-round, and never has this been more important than during the pandemic. To continue to reach students who've been learning remotely. Providers of this program have been working nonstop to make sure that meals remain available and accessible. Today, we're joined by two of our partners in this effort, Vicky Zoldos and Erin Casey. Vicky Zoldos is the manager of government nutrition programs at Gleaners Community Food Bank. She's got over 10 years of experience in secondary education in both Chicago and right here in Metro Detroit schools. Her passion for educating and helping others led to planning district-wide Kids Against Hunger Coalition events, which pushed her to pursue work in the nonprofit sector with Gleaners. Vicky strives to provide children with healthy meals, nutrition education, and other connections to local activities. Erin Casey is the Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation at the City of Detroit. She's responsible for directing the strategy and planning for all recreation programming, including citywide program implementation, partnering with the Youth Development Resource Center to expand out-of-school meal times, out-of-school time sites, and quickly securing funding for and implementing a program to serve more than 1 million meals to Detroiters over 6 months. Erin has degrees in both public affairs and a master's of public administration from Wayne State University. Vicky and Erin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Brian. We're really excited to be here today to talk a little bit about what we've got going on for the summer. So Vicky and I thought I would start just by talking a little bit about Parks and Recreation's plan for ensuring youth have access to meals across the summer, and then I'll kick it over to Vicky. So as Brian mentioned in my introduction, which thank you for that, Brian, you made me sound pretty awesome. I appreciate that. We've taken our charge to make sure youth have been fed across the pandemic very seriously. I think now to date, we've served close to 2 million meals since the pandemic started, and we're really proud of that and excited to continue that work across this summer. We are going to be changing up what summer food service looks like a little bit this summer. Last summer, we continued to just sort of have our curbside meal sites only. We are really excited to announce that we're getting back to some in-person programming after a long hiatus. So in addition to some of our curbside sites, we will also be serving meals at our campsites this summer, and then also at our at the Pistons Neighborhoods program sites. That's 5 parks across the city. So we'll have 2 east side and 2 west side curbside pickup sites that we'll continue with. We are sort of scaling down the number of days that we're operating those sites this summer. So each of those sites will be operating 2 days a week, but families will be able to pick up meals for multiple days at those sites. But no worries, that's not going to reduce access to meals. All of our other partner sites are going to be open sites. So if you're nearby one of our camps, not only will we be feeding our campers there, but we'll also be ordering additional meals so that members of the community who are in those neighborhoods will also have opportunities to come and still do grab and go meals from those sites as well. Or if your kid wants to come and spend a little bit of time and enjoy one of our beautiful parks, they're welcome to sit and enjoy a sandwich under a tree or on the playground as well. We are partnering with the Pistons this summer on the Pistons Neighborhoods program. We are going to be in 5 parks this summer. You can check that out on the Pistons website to see those locations. They'll be out in the parks Wednesdays through Sundays, and we will be feeding kids at lunchtime at all 5 of those parks. Families can also come and do grab and go meals during meal times at those sites too. So if you want to pick up a few meals for the kids who didn't make it out to the Pistons program, you're more than welcome to take home those meals to the other kids at home. Those sites will be operating Wednesday through Sunday. So there will also be some opportunities for families across the weekend to pick up meals as well. We're just really excited to continue our commitment to this work. We do have some capacity to take on a couple of extra partner sites this summer. We are requiring that those sites be able to provide their own staff to help actually serve the meals. And of course, we'll train you and make sure that you've got everything you need and the support you need to have that be a successful partnership this summer. But if there are organizations that are still looking for a food service sponsor, we're super excited to chat with you. And with that, I will kick it over to my amazing partner at Gleaners, Vicky.
Thanks, Erin. It's exciting to hear everything that you're doing in the city. And also thank you, Brian, for that nice introduction as well. So we are doing a variety of different types of meals and ways that children can get meals as well through the summer food program. And one of the opportunities for children and families to pick up meals is through our emergency mobile pantries. So through this pandemic, we've been distributing about 30-40 pounds of meals to children. And we have about 34 partners throughout the Metro Detroit area. So families are welcome to look up ways in our website to access any of those community sites. And we also are excited as well to offer families that are coming back into in-person programming. We have a variety of sites this year, we're about at 30 right now, that are offering in-person programming. So anywhere from school to camps and different activities that are going on throughout the Metro Detroit area. So these particular sites choose if they want to do breakfast and lunch, or if they just want to serve lunch, but our sites are open sites as well. So children from anywhere are welcome to come in and grab a meal. We also are doing a grab and go option. Most of these are in a drive-through model. Basically, we have about 12 sites this year that are signing up to do this. It's very similar to what the school cafeterias are doing right now for their virtual students. So this was an alternative idea for sites who are still not quite ready to bring in the kids into their facilities. So we're able to offer that this year. And we are doing 7 breakfasts and 7 lunch at these grab and go sites. So families are able to come in with a drive-through model, or if they're walking up and they have something to carry those meals home, they can do that as well. And we also are running our traditional mobile program. And this is where we have 3 of our different trucks, 3 different routes that go out to where the kids are in the housing complexes, and some of them are parks. So we're providing, it's kind of like an ice cream truck model. We serve the meals right out of the truck, and we're going to be there Monday through Friday at each one of our sites. And then on Fridays, we're going to be offering an opportunity for the breakfast and lunch for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So kids of any age are welcome to join. And also because of the waivers this year, parents are able to pick up meals for their children. So we have about 101 sites over the Metro Detroit area. And don't forget that you can also access the 211 phone number to call and reach, find out where the local places to call for meals. There's one other opportunity that families can actually text the word food to 877-877, and that will actually give you the 3 closest locations of where you can pick up food, okay? So on top of all of the sites that we're doing, we're providing a number of nutritional education activities and correspondence for our families and children this year. So I'm just going to touch base on some of the main ones, and you can ask questions at the end. But right now we are actually distributing a number of posters. Some of them are on My Plate, and they're also, let's see here, healthy choices for all of our congregate feeding sites. So we've had material pickups this week. The partners are coming in and they're picking up those, just offering them an opportunity for them to put up some nutritional education material for the children to see that. We also have these really cool Scrub Club posters, and it talks about why you should wash your hands and how long you should wash them, how you should do it. Those are really great. And we've been telling the partners to hang them up in the restrooms or in the cafeterias where the children are eating. We have worked on a website for our families to have access to all of healthy recipes that we're offering through Gleaners, and to learn about some new cooking tips and food safety as well. And then we're also offering some virtual Cooking Matters classes for parents and children throughout the summer. So this is just a class basically talking about healthy snacking and beverages, how they can adapt their recipes to make them a little bit more healthy. Also encouraging children to try new foods, because that's always a little bit challenging. So in our nutrition educators are actually going to be presenting at our trainings that are coming up next week. So partners have an opportunity to sign up for additional programming if something is interesting to them. And one other cool thing that we're really doing, and we're really excited about this too, it's new with the pandemic that's happened. So we've been doing Facebook Live demonstrations just for a lot of our emergency mobile partners to talk about ways that they can use the food and also get out and use that food in a new manner by using healthy recipes. So we've actually been able to get the website up in both Arabic, English, and Spanish. So that's been very successful and helpful for our families. Oh, and one more thing too, we're actually partnering up with United Dairy Industry of Michigan and the Community Kicks. We've done this for the last few years. Basically, we work with Lindsay Tarplay, who's an Olympic soccer player, and she works together to set up a soccer camp for the day for some of our sites, as well as providing different activities like one a week for 4 weeks consecutively, just little goodies that provide ways for kids to get an extra little treat for them, as well as promoting the participation at our sites. And so we really enjoy doing this activity. And she also kind of does like this smoothie bicycle event where the kids have to cycle and they make the smoothies and the kids just really enjoy it. So I will stop there for now, but there are lots more things that we're doing. But if you do have any questions, I will have you guys put them in the chat, just like Audrey mentioned. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Erin and Vicky, for all that information. And we do have some questions, and you provided a lot of great information. But some of the questions that we have are, so you mentioned, the days that some of the sites are open, Wednesday through Sunday or Monday through Friday. Is that just at lunchtime, or like what does the timing of those look like?
Sure. So for us, the Piston sites are just at lunchtime, but our the campsites that will have grab and go meals at, as well as meals for our campers, will have a morning breakfast period where families, if they want to pick up breakfast and lunch at that time, they can. And then we'll also have a meal period for lunch where families can pick up meals at that time as well. For our grab and go sites, so the sites that I mentioned where we'll have the 2 east side and the 2 west side sites, that'll be 2 days a week. We'll have those sites open from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. On the 2 days that those will be scheduled. And we don't have the schedule up on the Detroit Parks and Rec website just yet, but look for that probably next week to be posted. And that'll share updates on all of our site locations. And again, at those 4 curbside sites, you will be able to pick up breakfast and lunch for multiple days when you show up.
And over here at Gleaners, we typically leave it up to the partners to determine when they want to distribute their meals to the grab and go sites and also the in-person congregate sites. That's particularly because they have programming at different times of the day. Some of them are Monday through Friday, some of them are Monday through Thursday, but they get to determine what times they provide the dinners the lunches and breakfasts according to their own programming needs. So
Does that stay pretty consistent once they decide, like if they're doing it, Monday through Friday, is it pretty consistent on the times that they do it or the particular days?
Mostly, but sometimes we do see a few changes. If they do change, it is updated with the Michigan Department of Education database. And so when families do text out the word food to 877-877, it is updated. So that's one way that they can get the most accurate information as well.
Okay, great. And then when we say lunchtime, are we talking about like 12 to 1? Is it like a 2-hour period of time? What does that usually mean?
For our sites, we typically have about an hour, and it can range anywhere from 11 to 1. I do have a couple of sites this year that are ending at 2, but most of our open sites are only running lunch for about 1 hour at a time.
Yeah, that's true also for the Detroit Parks and Rec sites, with the exception of the sites that will be strictly curbside pickup. Any of our open sites that also have in-person programming, the meal service period times will be approximately an hour. And yeah, it also depends on the site. So yeah, anywhere from 11 to noon, or maybe 11:30 to 12:30, somewhere in that kind of typical lunch hour period.
Okay, that makes sense. And then you mentioned a lot of grab and go. And I know traditionally in the past when we've been in person, it's been that the children eat the meals at the particular sites and that sort of thing. Are these meals specifically for kids in the community, or are there also food for their families? Because I know there were different kind of meals mentioned. I just wanted to clarify on that.
Sure. So for us, it's just for youth. So anyone 18 and under can come and pick up a meal at those sites. And parents, one of the things that's really exciting about some of the waivers that have been put in place as of recently is that, you know, mom or dad or grandma or grandpa or aunt or uncle can come and they can pick up meals for all of the kids in the household. So if you've got a teenager that's wanting to sleep in a little bit and you can't quite get them out of bed to come to breakfast in the morning, no worries. You can come and pick up breakfast and lunch for all of the kids in the house for the entire day. Or in the case of our curbside sites, you'll be able to pick up meals for all of the kids in the household for multiple days at a time. So you don't have to keep coming back day after day, which is really great. And I think families have really appreciated that.
And it's the same for us here at Gleaners as well, Erin. We offer it for children 18 and under. So, but same thing with the waivers, parents are able to pick up meals for their children.
And where do they get the waivers that you're mentioning? Is that on your website?
The waivers are actually passed by the USDA this year, just in part due to the pandemic. And so traditionally kids would have to come and eat on site for breakfast and then come in for lunchtime. So this year with the multiple grab and go model and whatnot, then we're able to distribute more than one meal at a time for some of our sites. And then they're able to also just not have to stay on site. Normally they would have to stay on site and eat.
Right.
So.
And just to clarify, Audrey, the waivers that are in place are for us. The families don't have to fill out a waiver to be able to take those meals home.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I know this has been a very accessible program. In fact, one of the questions we had, how do I qualify? What's the requirements? And I wanted to see if there were any updates on that as well.
Yeah, one of the things that is really, I think, great is that there's been a lot of reductions in barriers to access for this program. So if you come to one of our sites and you say, yep, I've got 3 kids in the house that are 18 and under, we will pack up meals for all 3 of those kids and we will load them into the trunk of your car. Or if you show up at one of our campsites during one of our meal service period times, if your kid comes by themselves, if you live down the street and they're coming by the park, we'll hand your kid a meal and they can sit and enjoy it in the park. You can also stop by our site and you can pick up meals for all of the kids in your household. No questions asked. We just trust that if you tell us that you have kids at home that need to be fed, then we're going to make sure those kids get fed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, Erin, for sharing that. And we are doing a similar thing too as well. So anyone that wants to come up 18 and under is welcome to come up and get food, and we'll pack them up as well. Our emergency mobile model looks a little bit different, of course. Like most of the time it's the parents that are coming through the drive-through line and picking up the meals, but we do that particular model and we ask if they have children in their household. And so we just give them 1 meal package per household. But apart from that, our regular traditional sites get one meal per child.
Mm-hmm. And then, so I know we've talked about this for several years, but so you had mentioned you text the word food to 877-877 to find the 3 nearest locations. Is that the best way to find locations near you and get the most up-to-date information, or what other ways would you recommend?
We send out flyers with our community partners, and so all of our partners that are participating in the program get the information out too. And we are in the process of working on a website. I'm not sure if we're going to get it up and running to actually put all of them out for Gleaners. So that is a goal for this year, and so hopefully we can get those out for our sites that we are servicing. But yes, if a community member is not sure where the closest location is, or if they're just looking to see if maybe one's a little bit closer, then I would say yes, that would be a really good opportunity to go with the texting.
Yeah, I agree with Vicky. I think to kind of see beyond, some of the kind of larger, more regional sponsors sites, it's definitely easiest to text to get those locations. For Detroit Parks and Rec, we'll communicate our sites in a variety of ways. We will share that information on our social media channels. If you are on our Detroit Parks and Rec listserv, I'm sure you'll definitely be getting some email blasts from us this summer about our sites. And then again, we'll share it on the Parks and Recreation website. And then I'm sure you'll see some of that information going out as well through the broader City of Detroit social media channels as well.
Great. And since some of the changes are that there will be some in-person programming available with this, what are some of the, will it look different? Are there additional COVID guidelines that are still being followed for the summer? What can people expect with that?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Vicky.
Oh, sorry. So we are still, our staff is still, using their masks, and we are still adhering to social distancing protocols. And each particular site has to have their own protocols in place. So if they're in a place where they are comfortable with opening up a little bit more, most of them are still following their social protocols, but we ask them what their protocols are when they're signing on to be one of our partners. And we adhere to those guidelines when our staff is coming in to do any monitoring or do any visits for each one of the sites.
Yeah, the same is true for Parks and Rec. So staff is still masking throughout the summer. Even when our staff is outdoors, they will be wearing masks. We still are not having anyone come into our buildings to pick up meals. So either it'll be a drive-through model, or if you don't have a personal vehicle, of course, we always have a table where you're welcome to walk up to those sites as well, but you won't be required to come into a building. We're definitely also practicing social distancing guidelines. If you come out and pick up meals at one of our open sites where we either have the Pistons programs or our camps, you will see lots of kids out in the park, but they'll also be practicing social distancing. And yeah, we're just continuing to follow CDC guidelines, and sometimes even a little bit beyond, just to really make sure that we're keeping our staff and of course residents safe this summer.
Great. Well, we really appreciate that. We do have time, I think, for one more question. And I was just curious, what do the meals look like? And are there fresh produce, included in the meals? What can people expect when you talk about getting a meal at Meet Up and Eat Up this summer?
That's a great question. So we actually have a variety of different, so our meal menu looks a little bit different across the different models I mentioned. But for each one of the models, we are giving out fresh fruit and veggies. So some days we have fruit cups instead of the fresh fruit, but we definitely have a variety of fresh fruit and vegetables. And for our in-person and grab and go, they're vended meals. So they'll have the entree, the fruit and veggie, the milk will be on the side, of course, and then the grain. So it's usually very appealing. We use like the containers, I'm trying to think, the Oliver containers, that's what it is. So that's clear and the kids can see what the meal is. And then for the grab and go sites, they go into a large box then with all the ingredients of the food inside the box for the meal package.
And the same is true for us. So we are doing all fresh produce this summer with our meals. Like Vicky said, all kids will get a milk with whether they come to pick up breakfast or lunch and a piece of fruit and some veggies at lunchtime. A typical breakfast might be a muffin and some fruit and some milk. Or a granola bar, or maybe a little breakfast wrap for lunches. In the summer, we tend to serve only cold meals. So things like sandwiches and wraps and salads. Kids, I think, aren't really interested in eating a hot meal on a hot day out at the park and then kind of getting back out and running around. So, we try to make it things that kids can eat pretty quickly so they can kind of get back into action this summer. So yeah, they'll have a sandwich or a wrap and some fruit and some veggies and a milk, and then they can be back out, getting back into the game.
Great. Well, thank you so much again for sharing such wonderful information about the Meetup and Eat Up summer food programs. And I know a lot of the links and the texting number have been shared in the chat. So please, reach out through those means if you have any other questions or would like to find a location to find a summer meal. But it's all the time we have for questions, and I'm going to turn it back over to Brian Van Doren. Thank you.
Thanks, Audrey. And thank you, Vicky and Erin, for being here with us today to share this information about where families can access summer food programs for our children. I just want to reiterate, and as Audrey mentioned, it's in the chat. We've touched on it a number of times, but if you're looking for a site, you can text food or comida if you want responses in Spanish to 877-877. The Michigan Department of Education also keeps a site locator map, and that can be found at michigan.gov/meetup. And as always, you can call 211 to locate a site. For those of you that may be experiencing a need, our 211 helpline remains available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We maintain a running list of available services in the community and can connect you to the supports that you need. You can always look up resources in your area by using our 211 resource database at unitedwaysem.org/211. Next week, we'll be joined by, once again, by Matt Heatherwick, Director of Individual Tax Programs at Accounting Aid Society, to learn more about the child tax credit that will start being dispersed next month. Join us to learn more about this credit and how your household can access it. To see our previous town halls and more upcoming topics, please visit unitedwaysem.org/virtual town halls. The website is also included in the chat. Thank you, everyone. We hope to see you again next Wednesday. Stay safe.